All right, before we get into chapter 3, I wanted to take a look at the math vocabulary cards. They are on page 129, and I wanted to take a look at some of these properties of multiplication and division, which is what we're starting on. So if you'll notice, in addition, we have the associative property of addition. In multiplication, we have the associative property of multiplication, and it means exactly the same thing. We can put any number in parentheses to do first and then do another number. So associate, 4 and 6 are going to associate first, and then that product will associate with 3, or 3 and 4 can associate first, that product will associate with 6. It doesn't matter which one we multiply first, they're all going to end up with the same product. And as you can see, for the commutative property of multiplication, it is the same as the commutative property of addition. 3 times 6 is going to give us the same answer as 6 times 3. So multiplication and addition are similar in that respect. The word decompose. Decompose simply means that we are breaking something down. When we put something like throw our trash away, or if I put things in a compost pile for my garden, I want it to break down, and that is what numbers do. We're going to break down the numbers. So if you'll notice 6, we can decompose that or break it down to 6 and 1 as factors. We can decompose it down to 3 times 2. It's the same as 6. We can decompose it to 2 times 3 or to 1 times 6. When we break down 6 to these numbers, these numbers become factors. So the factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3, and 6. That means I can decompose 6 into these factors, and I can use these factors to multiply to get 6. Dividend. Dividend is the number that I'm going to divide up. So that's what we need to remember. And in division, it's the highest number. So the highest number should be the dividend. And then I'm moving down and I have the divisor. The divisor is the number I'm using to divide up the dividend. So in this picture right here, 19 is the dividend. That's the number I want to divide up. 3 is the divisor. That's the number I'm using to divide it up. Okay, we're going to also talk about fact families. I think you've talked about fact families before with addition and subtraction, but we can also create fact families with multiplication and division. Here is an example of a fact family. 4 times 7 is 28. 7 times 4 is 28. 28 divided by 7 is 4. 28 divided by 4 is 7. Only 3 numbers, but we can create 4 equations using these 3 numbers. So 4, 7, and 28 are all members of the fact family, and we can multiply them or divide them, and we will get one of those numbers. Again, a factor. A factor is what I am using to multiply to get the product. So factors are simply another word for numbers in multiplication. And now we have the identity property of multiplication, a lot like the identity property of addition. However, so this identity property says 1 times 10 will always be 10. 10 times 1 will always be 1. A couple of more vocabulary words. A multiple is numbers that 8 can make. Now we need to remember this. A factor is numbers that can make 8. A multiple is numbers that 8 can make. 8 times 0 is a 0. 8 times 1 is 8. 2 times 8 is 16. 3 times 8 is 24. 4 times 8 is 32. 8 can make all of these numbers, so these are multiples of 8. That means 8 can make them, multiplying with another number. Product. Product simply means the answer in a multiplication problem. So my factors are what I'm multiplying. Product is another word for the answer in multiplication. And quotient is the answer in division. So when I have my dividend and my divisor and I do the operation, I will get the quotient. Okay, repeated subtraction simply means kind of like repeated addition, only going backwards. I can't start at 0 on repeated subtraction. I have to start higher. And then it just means that I will subtract the same numbers going down. And repeated subtraction is a strategy we can use until we are more comfortable with division. So repeated subtraction will give us the same answer as if we divide. And one more vocabulary word is the zero property of multiplication. This is very important to remember. 12 times 0 is 0. 3 times 0 is 0. And you need to think of it. If I'm counting to 12 0 times, then I'm going to get 0. Or if I'm counting to 0 12 times, I'm still going to get 0. If I count to 3 0 times, I'm getting 0. If I count to 0 3 times, I'm still getting 0. These are important vocabulary words for us to know for this chapter.